mortality on the farm. Mortality on the farm. Our does are performing very well, 10 kids, 12 kids, 13 kids. But that is all. How do we ensure that these 10 kids remain productive from birth to pre-weaning to weaning and to final becoming a quality product? How do we ensure that there is less mortality on our farm? How do we ensure that our bunnies really become productive? And I think that is the purpose of the discussion today. We just want to touch on a few points that will ensure that your farm is actually productive, because your does giving birth, your bucks performing, giving birth to 10, 12, 13 kids is one part of the equation. The second part of the equation is making sure that all these bunnies survive and become productive. That is what we want to explore today. So, mortality rate on the farm, how do we improve on productivity by reducing mortality? Once again, you are welcome to Ace Rabbit Farm. Look, I'm in KwaZulu-Natal, Durban, a beautiful part of South Africa, and I'm taking my children to go and dip their feet in the sea, just a form of a holiday. And obviously, Alex being a rabbit farmer, the intent is any region, any province I visit, definitely I will have to visit a rabbit farm. And that is what I want to bring to you today. But the focus today is really on, mortality rate. How do we reduce mortality rate? There are things that we need to do before the doe is pregnant. There are things that we need to do while the doe is pregnant. There are things that we need to do while the doe has given birth. There are things that we need to do while the bunnies are growing up. There are things we need to do when the bunnies are being weaned. And I think today it is not very, very clear. If you look at the stages I've described, it is not very, very clear things that we need to do to ensure that we reduce mortality. So remember, everything that we bring to you at Ace Farm is according to our experience, what we have. And today, what we have observed is we are looking at between 85 to 90% success rate. In other words, our mortality rate is between 15 to 10%, which is an improvement. Anyway, come along with me as we drive along beautiful mountainous area. I mean, this place reminds me so much of Eburi. Look at the greeneries. Look at the green things. We're driving towards a river. Look at the natural animals walking around as we slow down to drive to go and see the river. And then behind the river, we're going to go to see a beautiful farm. Jody is the owner of the farm. It's a lady, fairly decent farm. And we're going to have an opportunity to see some of her animals and observe what really is going on there. But I think back to the main topic, now we have produced 10 bunnies, 13 bunnies. How do we ensure we retain these bunnies for them to become fully productive? Okay, so that for me is a critical part because it still speaks to the topic of profitability. Yes, we are doing a backyard rabbit farming. Yes, we are doing a small-scale rabbit farming. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is profitability. Are you profitable? Regardless, So watch this video to the far end because I do have a last and fifth point, okay? Okay, so this is the time to get your pen and pencil, start copying some screen and start taking some notes. All right, so we saw that there are at least 4 key areas to consider if we want to reduce mortality, and by so doing, we increase profitability, okay? So doe care. So when we talk about doe care, what exactly are we talking about? We are speaking about specific feeding programs for the does and bucks, especially. The objective is to reduce obesity. If you reduce them gaining excessive weight, they stand a better chance of producing a larger litter. A larger litter is already along the line of profitability, because now you've got a larger litter. Okay. Now, there is this very interesting trick that I learned. Guys, we need to start removing the nails of our bucks, because during the mating session, the nails of some of these bucks can be very long, and that could be painful for the doe, because there's a lot of grabbing, pulling, grabbing. And so if you're not careful, your doe becomes injured in the process. And so you start seeing some of them rejecting the bucks, not because they are on it, but it's because of the process, the grabbing and the tearing and the clawing. Yeah, so just be aware of that and start cutting the nails off your bucks. Okay. All right. So now that you've got your doe pregnant, you have to now start feeding quality feed, specifically formulated to ensure that the babies that she's carrying are healthy, and so that also when she gives birth, she's able to produce sufficient milk. So that for me speaks to the doe care. Now, if we take it one step and go to the bunny care, the bunny care, just ensure that you've got a very decent litter boxes, warm and yet well aerated, especially since we are in the tropics. Okay. You check on the bunnies every morning to be sure that they are well fed. How do you do this? Check their stomachs. It should be rounded and well swollen belly, very, very full. Okay. At this stage, their eyes are still closed. Okay. So just make sure that they are well fed. Now, in the case where you have a larger litter, please consider fostering. If you foster, you stand a better chance of dividing your bunnies into other mothers that will then be able to sustain them. This also means a lot of deep planning, so that you have multiple does having litters at the same time. Then you can do fostering. Okay. All right. So at the pre-weaning stage, let's just ensure that our litter boxes are clean and disinfected to reduce, potential eye illness. At this stage, the tiny little bunnies get eye illness, and that normally comes from a dirty a dirty litter boxes. Remember, they pull into the same space, right? Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Check that 10-day-old kids are not out of the litter box. Sometimes they do get hung up on their mothers, on the teeth, and when the mother is coming out, they kind of follow the mother out, but they cannot sustain themselves outside. So do check for that. Okay. At this stage, you continue checking for their rounded bellies to be sure that they are well fed. Okay. I will even start introducing these bunnies already to apple cider vinegar. You start treatment for cocci, because cocci is just in the environment, and that comes natural. Okay. So introduce apple cider vinegar, start treatment for cocci. Apple cider vinegar is going to help build their immune system. It's going to help build good bacteria in their gut. Okay. Now at the weaning stage, and especially we see a lot of mortalities when the bunnies are weaned, and therefore this is a very, very critical stage that we need to take good care of. Okay. So what we do at Ace Farm, look, we do selective weaning. What this means is we remove the bigger bunnies first and allow the weaker ones to remain, or the weaker or the smaller ones to remain with the doe. This gives them enough time for them to build, strength before weaning. Now, continue feeding the same feed, right? Do not change their feed at this stage. Continue feeding the same feed. Continue with your cocci treatment. Now, another trick also is, obviously, when you wean, there is a shock, right? Look, Elliot has spoken a lot about the type of shock that falls into the system. Check out some of the ACE videos, okay? You will see that when you wean them, they get a shock. And one of the best methods we found is we wean them to just the nearest cage next to the mother. So it could just be the next door, and they still continue to see their mother, but they have just been weaned. So the shock is not that dramatic. Look, I would say you continue with the apple cider vinegar treatment. This will help establishing good gut bacteria that will help them build their own immune system, no longer relying on their mother's immune system. Okay. So that really brings it into summary of the 4 areas that we discussed. Just give me a second. Okay, guys, so there you have it. If you reduce mortality, you're definitely going to be increasing productivity. And what that means is your bunny stays alive. However, in conclusion, guys, we are in the tropics. In the tropics, there is a lot of moist in the air. So I will recommend that you dry all your green matters that you're going to be using to feed the animals. Guys, dry them to absolute dry greens. We don't feed any green leaves. We make sure we dry them super dry. Okay. Sometimes we even wash and salt them. This ensure that your bunnies don't take any diseases. Okay. Sure. So definitely look at some of the video clips I got from Jody's farm, and you will see there is not a single drop of anything green. Every single leaf you find there is absolutely dried to the last D. Okay. All the best, guys. Whatever you do, wherever you are, keep farming, and keep bringing top quality protein to your communities. Okay. All right. I'll catch you. Bye.